How's it going, Thieves fans? We got another episode of the Thieves Talk podcast today. It's going to be a little bit of a quicker one just because I'm trying to fill this into my schedule a little bit. But we're just going to talk about the tournament that the Thieves just played in. Wasn't their best showing. I would say it was definitely better than the last tournament that they were in. They were able to play a little better, especially in their first match, which was against FaZe. We will get into that. They didn't play as well against LAG, which is kind of frustrating when you go back and you look at how they played against FaZe. But, it is what it is. From the title, as you can see, they placed 9th through 12th at the major. Like I said, really not the best placing for them. But it's not all bad. There are some positives to take away from this. I think there are some people who have been kind of jumping the gun saying that the Thieves need to blow it up and there's changes that need to be made. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think they showed a lot of improvement throughout this stage. And we'll also look at their schedule coming into the next major as well, which, from what I've seen, looks to be a lot easier of a schedule compared to what they faced this go around. And they actually placed pretty well going into the major. So, with all that being said, I'm not too worried about it. But I'd also like to say I'm sorry I was gone the last week or so. I know I didn't do an episode last weekend. Had some stuff come up that had to be taken care of. So that's why I wasn't super active on Twitter this week and why I wasn't able to do another episode last weekend. So either way, we're here now. We're talking about the major. And, let's get into this first matchup against FaZe here. So, as you can see from the overview, we lost 3-2 to FaZe. And realistically, I would say this match should have been a 3-0 victory for the Thieves. I think the Thieves were outplaying FaZe, especially in both of the respawn game modes. And really, they started off pretty well in the invasion search as well. So there was a very good likelihood that the Thieves were going to 3-0 based on how they played in the search. They just weren't able to close it out. And I think that is kind of where the momentum swung a little bit, despite the fact that they were able to take the control 3-1. I think with FaZe knowing that they had won this search when they probably shouldn't have, that probably gave them a little more momentum because with FaZe, they're such a good team. As you saw, they ended up winning the entire tournament. So, they're a very good team. You can't let them stay in, and unfortunately, that's what the Thieves did in this series. That's why FaZe were able to take the win and ultimately went on to win out the rest of the matches and win the tournament. It's really, really sad to see knowing that the Thieves could have 3-0'd this team. Like, very, very possibly 3-0'd this team. Cryptic, proud of the Thieves, just need to stay focused for all maps. Yeah, I would say they were a little disheartened going into that LAG match. I think initially they probably were fine, but once LAG kind of like battled in, they I think they kind of lost the steam a little bit because realistically, I don't feel like they played terrible against LAG. I think they just like map wise, they didn't have better map set, and I think they were kind of out of it a little bit. So I still, I mean, it's hard to say because obviously record wise says otherwise, but I feel like Thieves really were the better team against LAG, and I think they just kind of weren't in it. Which again, we'll get into that LAG series a little more, but yeah, with this FaZe one, overview, FaZe, they all played really well. Besides Draza, he was the only one that went negative. He had a rough series. And Afro and Nasty, it says that they were negative. Like, those are the stats. It is what it is. But when you look at the way these maps went, it didn't really feel like they were playing all that bad, in my opinion. The team was doing really well cohesively, um, and I think that's why they were able to win the map one invasion. They were like, because in this, Nasty's -3, but I mean, he made some good plays. Afro, sorry, -4, but he was doing fine. Like nothing at this scoreline tells me that they did anything like bad. So for me, obviously there's 5 maps here, but at least in this map alone, like they looked really good as a team. And this was probably the first series that I feel like I've seen the Thieves not like no one really had what I would consider to be like a legit stinker of a map. Like at least that's how it felt. I feel like oftentimes we see at least one player on the Thieves kind of have a bit of a stinker, and I don't feel like anybody really did. So that's where when I say things aren't all bad, I think that's the positives that we're seeing here is we can live with Afro and Nasty or whoever it might be dropping a point 0.8 if we're winning the map 250 to 173. Like I'm not going to complain about that. I think when they work as a team and they're playing as a good cohesive unit, the stats they don't really bug me as much. So to me, I'm really not stressed about this because it's not the end of the world. Like, you know, they beat FaZe on this map, and they did it I would say pretty handedly for most of the map. Like I said, Draws had a bit of a stinker to start off the map. He picked it up a little bit, as you can see. BZ didn't start off hot, which is really crazy. Normally, that's not the case. But it allowed Thieves to kind of get going, and then they started off pretty well in the search and destroy as well. But we'll get to that. I want to show the game flow of this first map here. As you can see, it's pretty close, and then from there, like the Thieves were just kind of able to hold that lead for from P3 on first rotation for the rest of the game. Like that's something that the Thieves have not been doing. So to me, that's a huge step. And Invasion is not the easiest map to do it on. Like there's a lot of kind of chaotic spawns and things like that, but the Thieves were able to handle it. So I give them a ton of credit for that. Yeah, Draza was Draza was shit talking uh when he went 9-28. Yeah. I mean, this is something I always try to remind myself is for the most part, like all these guys are, I guess, I guess you could say coworkers in a sense. They're all employed under like the CDL basically, and the Thieves, like they're probably cool with some of these guys. Draza is cool with the Thieves. He's just talking shit to talk shit. It gets likes on Twitter. It gets clicks, all that kind of stuff. Um, and it can be frustrating, but like for me, obviously, I know that he's kind of cool, and it is what it is. I wish the Thieves would get some wins so that way they can talk shit back, and now it feels a little more balanced. I think the reason it's hard for me is I'm a super competitive person. Not that these guys aren't, but I'm a super competitive person. So anytime the Thieves lose and we get to hear the other team talking shit, it it irks me. It gets really annoying, whether they're friends or not. Because for me as a fan, I just want to see my team win. But anyway, uh, Skip, am I in the new roster for 100 Thieves, dude? I mean, I don't think the Thieves are gonna make a change as of right now, but you never know. And who knows, man? Maybe they bring you in to start frying. They, I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm hoping they don't make any changes right now, but I'm not seeing everything from the back end, so I don't know how that'll look. Uh, didn't get to catch up the LAG match, but saw Afro apologize. No, I think there was just like a lot of hype about Afro going into the tournament because he was playing really well, like going into the major, And then I think he just didn't perform at that same level. So I don't really think he like had a. I mean, I rewatched the matches today, and from what I saw, I didn't feel like there was anything that Afro did that was like, I don't know. I didn't feel like there was anything that crazy. Like I felt like he just maybe didn't have the best series, but it wasn't as bad as I think we've seen. Like he's definitely been playing better overall. So for me, like if his floor keeps going up, if he has a bad map or a bad series, but his floor is higher than what it used to be, like that's not something I'm gonna be super upset about. But for him, he's probably his hardest critic. I think most of these guys probably are, and so for him, he felt like it wasn't enough, and especially with their placement, I mean, I can understand why he would say something like that. Multani Gaming, I want to say thank you for the follow. I saw that. Sorry, I was in the middle of kind of talking about all this, so I appreciate you tuning in. Glad to see you in here. Could I see Joe Deceives coming back for Afro or maybe even sign up Dak? I don't think they're going to sign anybody new. I think if anything, they would switch in Joe Deceives for probably Afro at this point. I think Kremp did too well at this major. I still don't necessarily think they're going to pull up Joe Deceives, but like I said, I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes for them. Because maybe depending on how they handle losses, how they handle wins, stuff like that, that could change who they want to be in the rotation as well. But I feel like their cohesion was actually really, really solid, like coming into the major, and especially in this phase match. Because realistically, if the Thieves end up winning the invasion and they 3-0 this series, nobody's talking about if we're switching Afro or not. Nobody's talking about if we're going to make a role change whatsoever. So for me, you're one round away from people not talking about if we're going to make a roster change. And that's how I look at it. All it takes is for them to ice up one round, and we're not talking about any of this stuff. And, the entire major plays out differently. So that's kind of my thought process on it. But like I said, I really don't know. Um, are most players good with each other? Any actual rivals of the Thieves? Um, I mean, I don't think so. I think I've always said I feel like FaZe would probably be like their biggest rival, like historically, but I really don't think there's any like ill will, at least to my knowledge. I feel like everybody, you know, each player might have their own vendettas. Like I'm sure there's a little bit with Ghosty and like Optic, like he probably wants to beat them every time he plays them, but like and I say beat, obviously he wants to win, but I mean like he probably wants to go out and cook Optic if we're being honest. Like as a player, I would. So, I don't necessarily think anybody has like these actual vendettas out against anybody, but they're all, they're like I said in the grand scheme of things, they're all kind of coworkers. So I really don't think there's any like crazy ill will. I think a lot of it is just kind of played up, to be honest. Has Kremp always been an SMG, or could he be a flex? That I don't know, because I really don't know much about Kremp. Like coming into the league versus like where he is now. I didn't keep up with a lot of challengers during that time frame, and I still haven't kept up too much with challengers. I feel like it's kind of hard to keep up with. They don't talk about it very much. But I mean, the way he's been playing, I could see him playing as a flex. Um, I don't think he would be a bad flex by any means. That's for sure. You think Dak is the next upcoming good SMG? Very talented. Afro's inconsistent. People wanted him out from Major One too. Yeah, they did. People did want him out from Major One. I've said before though, I think keeping him was big because with them bringing in Nasty, there was some cohesion that they already had from playing alongside one another on the Ravens a few years prior. So to me, I felt like keeping Afro in that moment was probably the best decision. Is it still the best decision? I don't know. I think I do agree with that he is kind of inconsistent. I think we do need some more consistency. The problem is, I don't know if bringing in Joe Deceives is going to add consistency because Joe Deceives was pretty inconsistent as well, like before they made the switch. So for me, that's my only thing is like I don't know if there's a move that the Thieves can make that are going to make them better right away. I think this is a situation where the Thieves kind of have to let the players grow together and let the players um, kind of just work with one another to slowly improve. And it sucks as a fan because obviously you want to see them winning, as much as possible. But I don't see a route where the Thieves just go from where they're at now to being a super high level team in a matter of, maybe a major. Like I don't see that happening. So I think the best option is to have the guys that they have now and let them grow together. That's my opinion. With Joe deceives, his comms aren't always the best, but he's probably improved since going back to challengers. I'm sure he has. I mean, he's great. He is really good. Um, he's young. He's a raw talent. I think that's where a lot of these players are. So that's why I think like it's kind of a toss up on who you keep in and who you take out. So I don't know. I mean, the upside is that he's a sub, so they can kind of switch him in and out and see what they like. But you know, really, that's kind of up to them. But anyway, onto the search and destroy. As you can see, Thieves lost 6-5. They really should have won this map. They definitely should have won this map. They were up 5-3, and they had a couple situations that were high tension, like clutch situations, and they were able to close it out. And so I really thought that they were going to pull this one off. But I think once they got to that round 5 win that they got, like they just started playing a little antsy. Like people weren't like playing their life as well, I feel like. We even had two situations where I Ghosty was 2 off of a streak, and I think Kremp was 1 off of a streak, and we weren't able to convert that. Obviously, if those players are able to get that streak, that kind of changes the outlook of the game, especially because the last round where FaZe was able to take it, it was a 4v4 retake, and at that point, if you have a streak, that could bust open the entire retake on a site. So, there's some stuff there that they could probably look at and say, you know, maybe Ghosty tries to play for his streaks a little more. We play a little more passive and try and make sure that we guarantee that. Um, but I feel like they played really well, and then they didn't play as disciplined for the last, what, three rounds. And again, like I said, if you give FaZe an inch, they're going to take a mile. You can't let them get away with anything, and the Thieves let them get away with too much in this invasion search, and that's really, to me, that's the downfall of the series, because like I said, if you win one round, just one round, not even one map, one round, you win the series 3-up. So really unfortunate. Draza went even. I mean, Draza's a good S&D player, so of course Draza's going to have a good S&D. Beezy, he started going big, getting a lot of first bloods when they were down, so that definitely helped them out a lot. Nasty, the only one to go negative for Thieves, and he had one situation where I felt he should have played his life a little better than he did, but other than that, I felt like he actually played it pretty well. Everybody else went, you know, even for the Thieves, so it is what it is. Like I said, they should have won this map. To me, this is the kicker, and we'll kind of talk about this a little bit more. But I think S&D is where they need their fix the most right now, which is crazy to think because their hard point used to not be it, but their hard point is at least looking better. So I have a little bit more faith in their hard point now, and I think they're going to keep getting better at it. Their respawn modes are looking a lot better than what they were. I think everybody's working together a lot better. Something I forgot to mention with the hard point is even when they did the listen in for the Thieves, you could tell that their comms were a little more in depth than what they used to be. They were able to kind of calm themselves a little bit, as well as still bring the energy and giving out, good calls of like, watch over this. I'm gonna do this. whatever. And I feel like that was something that they were missing before. It was really a lot of just kind of calling out red dots and a lot of jumbled up chaos. And I think now they're starting to settle a little bit, and I think that shows in their respawns now. Um, but yeah, into this map 3, I mean, they looked good. They looked good on this invasion. I mean, they were pinning FaZe in the spawn a couple times. Draws a 9 and 28. Like, talk about a stinker. That's an ultra stinker right there. Um, and nobody on I mean, Kremp dropping a 30 bomb. Like, he was doing it all. So, just again, another good respawn map for the Thieves, putting them up 2-1. And I think obviously that was crazy for me because I did not expect to see the Thieves take it this far, let alone be in the position to win, I guess. Like, it was not how I expected this series to go. But then, as you can see, that's kind of where it went downhill. Rio, I think, is a tough map for the Thieves to play against a team like FaZe or Optic. You have, really fast SMGs. They battled, but I mean, Abizi and Simp, they're so fast, man. And like, if they're able to open stuff up, you got Celium, who's a faster AR. Like, he can play both main AR as well as kind of a flex role. And so it's just, I mean, it's just really hard to stop them. There's constant flooding in this map. There's really no, like, there's nothing slowed down on this map. And so I think that's where it benefited FaZe more than it did the Thieves, unfortunately. Because I feel like they do play Rio fairly well. It's just when you're going up against a team like FaZe, I mean, there's just a lot of skill there that's going to be hard to outmatch. And then, last but not least, but the high rise S&D. I mean, they kind of got screwed a little bit. They were losing anyway, but Ghosty's controller, I don't know if it like disconnected or what happened, but they had to do a reset and they let them replay the round. They were down 4-2 at this point already, so it's not like it's some crazy excuse of like, hey, that shouldn't have happened. But they had to reset, and then because of it, FaZe got an opening nade pick because there's no trophies on a new map basically, and they just like insta wiped them. And I'm sure that's where like Thieves just lost any momentum that they had whatsoever when they were already down, like I said, 4-2. So that kind of screwed things over for them, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Like I said, this was the big map for them. They needed to win this invasion. Um, and we'll talk about it too with LAG here because I think that was the problem with their series against LAG as well. They had a similar situation where they just needed to close out the search and they weren't able to do it. And I think that would have changed things a little bit because it gives them at least reasonable momentum. But the second you lose this, I think knowing they worked so hard to win these first HPs that if they win this but they lose this, there's a good chance they're not going to win this. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's kind of the way it is. So these map 2 S&Ds are huge right now. They're huge right now because they're so close too. They're so close. Jodeci's and Dak were the best 2 SMGs from last month in Challengers and of course recent Open. That's why I imagine them with Ghosty and Crimp AR duo. In terms of signing players to any team, do you think Gunless could get back into the league? I don't know. I feel like with Gunless, I feel like some of the issues are like his personality, not necessarily like his skill. Because I know he's had like a history in the past of kind of like how he handled situations and things like that. So I don't know how much of it is necessarily his play style. And maybe he's a different man now. Maybe like he has a better mentality or whatever it might be. But I think he like skill wise, I think he's a good enough player to be in the league. I mean, in Infinite Warfare, if I remember correctly, he was one of the best ARs in the game. So like he's a really good player. It's just hard when you have certain teams that I feel like are kind of comfortable with where they're at. You think they'll be good at Vista and Departure, more open maps like Invasion? I can see that. I haven't seen how those maps play. I haven't been able to play those maps either, so I don't know anything about those maps yet. Um, I've been wanting to play and just haven't really been able to, unfortunately. But I mean, it. I feel like if it plays similar to Invasion, then I could see them being pretty good at it. Hopefully, the spawns are better and more readable. I think that could help as well. Um, but yeah, hopefully it plays into their favor. I mean, any new stuff I think kind of plays into these like lower level teams' favor, because if they can figure out that faster than the quote unquote like better teams, I think that'll be more beneficial for them. Because obviously the good teams, they have the things that they're good at. They're gonna try and do that, and they're gonna slowly like start moving into the other new maps or whatever it might be. Whereas like with these guys, they have nothing to lose to get better at these new maps that come in. How many teams do I think are making changes? Um, how many do I think will make changes versus how many I think should make changes? I think are different. I think there's probably more teams now that should make changes. But realistically, I don't think a lot of them will. I mean, Miami is already making a change. They dropped Journey. So, um, or although he was the sub at that point. Didn't they already take him out? He's already been changed, huh? To be completely honest, with like work and stuff, it's really hard to pay attention to like a lot of the rest of the league. That's why I mostly just focus on Thieves. As much as I want to focus more on the rest of the league as a whole, it's just really hard. It's already hard for me to kind of keep up with the Thieves. That's why I said like this stream will probably be a little quicker than some of my other ones. But um yeah, I think there's a couple like Seattle probably should make a change. I think they they haven't really done much. They've been kind of eh. I think the only reason, like I said, I think the Thieves shouldn't make a change is because we are seeing improvement. We saw improvement and we are seeing improvement. This was their hardest split for sure. Um, and so I think that they will, they'll do better this next go around. They're gonna have some easier teams to play against, and that might be the time for them to kind of kick things into gear. Seattle, Rocker, and Boston. I don't think Boston. I don't think Boston makes a change just because I think. I mean, I feel like Asim picking up Asim was really big. I think Asim has been really good. So I don't know if they make a change yet. I think they're still a fresh team, pretty much. Um, Rocker, maybe. I think they should change Awakening at this point because I think he's kind of been consistently eh. And then Seattle, I don't know who they would change, but I think they should make a change just because they're not really doing anything. Um, and I still don't. Nobody knows why they got rid of Illy when he was their best player. I think everybody speculates why they got rid of Illy, but nobody actually knows. I think Carolina should probably make a change. Like they're just kind of, I don't know. They're not really doing much either. They're not like a bad team, but I just feel like they're kind of stuck where they're at, and they're very up and down too. Like when they play good, they play really good, but when they play bad, they're not good. Like it's not good. It's not fun to watch. Um, Heretics probably they should probably do that as well. Um, but I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say with how teams feel. Um, okay, so the overview, LAG, as you see these last 3-1. Um, Assault the only one going negative for them. Diamond Khan, he does really good against the Thieves. I mean, he's a really good AR player. Um, this is a team that I'll be honest, I hate when we lose to this team. I hate when we lose to this team because to me, there is no reason we should be losing to this team, and they like to talk shit, and I hate it. It pisses me off, but I digress. We win the Rio hard point. This is what I mean by we play the Rio well. Like we do play Rio well. I mean, Nasty plus 13, like dude was cooking. Kremp had a really good map. I mean, everybody was in the positive. You love to see that. Uh, I do feel like this is a map that plays more to the Thieves' strength against a team like LAG or against these lesser teams. But when you play against FaZe, Optic, who have really good submachine gun players, they play really fast. They're always in the mix. Those are going to be the teams that are hard to beat. And so I'm not opposed to the Rio hardpoint. Just I think it depends on the teams you play. That's my take. Uh, we take it 250 to 136. I forgot to show the oops. I forgot to show the other um, FaZe one. This was when FaZe won, and then this was the game flow against LAG. Uh, LAG never had a lead. I mean, Thieves just took control from the start. So, their closest spot here was that P2, but the Thieves were able to just break. And that is something that the Thieves were not doing before. They were not breaking. They couldn't break very well, and they weren't really rotating early enough to get many holds. But the Thieves are starting to be able to break, and their holds are getting better. So sub base was not quite the same. I don't think the way they play sub base is the best. It wasn't terrible. Again, I mean 207, 250, not the worst score line. Either way, we'll get into it. High rise S&D, they should have won this map. Another map where they were up 5-4 this go around, and I think you just got to close it out. You can't allow for teams to be down and come back and win, because I think that just ruins all momentum. And as you can see, for this series specifically, it definitely did, because they go into this high rise and they just get smoked. I mean, it wasn't even really close on this one. Afro Ghosty -8, like not good. Kremp's the only one to even go even. Like they got destroyed on this, and a lot of people were calling out JCap. I don't think picking high rise was like a bad play, because they've been good on high rise. I think it's just one of those situations where LAG was just better on it. Like they have been better on it, and kind of is what it is. But if I remember correctly, they said they didn't want to play Karachi because LAG is good at Karachi as well, and the Thieves have not been good at Karachi. They didn't want to do Invasion, because again, I think LAG is pretty good at Invasion, and they have not been as good at Invasion. And there's a part of it that was a little bit of an ego chow. Like if they win high rise against LAG, that could be a huge momentum boost for them. And if you're in a situation where they are down like they were in this one, that could be a huge momentum swing. I don't think that's something they're banking off of. I would hope not, but there's a lot of thought process that goes into it. So for me, I trust JCap. I'm not going to be one of those people out here saying that he's a bad coach because of these vetoes. Like they know what they're doing, they know what they're talking about, and sometimes it just doesn't pan out. And this is one of those times they got ran through, unfortunately. And I think with all that going into the sub base, I mean, this is not good. Like you can't have this. You can't have this. Because if this doesn't happen, there's no way we lose this. 207 to 250, and we have 3 people in the negative. If this doesn't happen, we win sub base. We win it. So I mean, this is not ideal. They kept it pretty close for most of the map, but the biggest problem that I noticed, and I think other people have noticed as well, is the Thieves, when they play sub base, they don't take control of top snow for some reason. I don't know why, but they don't take control of top snow. Like they just kind of let, whether it be Diamond Con or Fame, just sit up there and pick people off. And I think that's why you see some of these stat lines here, because they're not killing these guys in these power positions. So I don't know if that's something that, you know, in the heat of the moment, they don't think about it, they don't do it. If it's something that JCap doesn't really talk about because maybe they don't play sub base that often. I don't know. But either way, they can't just let teams take control of top snow and take control of these power positions because that that just destroys him. I mean, the upside with Nasty is he had 4K damage, but Kremp minus 13 with only not even 3K damage is not ideal, especially after like the series he had against FaZe. He had a really good series against FaZe. So it's just tough. I think, like I said, I think there is some positive. The team is still like figuring things out. They're still a very young team. So not everything is going to be sunshine and rainbows. And they made a hell of a lot of progress from the last major to the end of this major, despite the same placement. Because, like I said, you take one round and this goes a whole different way. And we're talking about this in a whole nother light. So I don't think changing Afro is the best decision right now. I think if we go into this next major here and things still are not what they should be, then maybe you bring in Joe Deceives for Afro and you try switching some things up. But I think looking at who we play here, so Moltony, you asked about when it is, April 12th through May 19th, which is my birthday, actually. Tournament weekend is my birthday. Our first matchup, April 14th, Vegas Legion. They're a good team. They are a good team. But we beat them. We beat them before. I think that's a team that we can beat. And then after that, we have the Heretics, which the Heretics have not looked good. So if they continue looking the way they have been, I think Thieves take that one, no problem. Then we got the Royal Ravens. Again, like when they play good, but they're not always playing good. So I think that's another game that Thieves can absolutely win. I think against Rocker, they should win. They absolutely should win. And then we got Boston. I think Boston, depending on how they kind of develop, if they stay the same, I think the Thieves can beat Boston. Thieves should definitely beat Seattle, in my opinion. And then our hardest matchup is going to be Optic. Realistically, last one we had the gauntlet. We had Optic, FaZe, and Ultra, and New York. I think actually we had all top 4 teams. This go around should be a hell of a lot easier. So as long as they don't play down and they play their game, they play to their potential. I don't think it's very likely, but there's a possibility they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-1. There's a possibility they go 6-1. Like if they start looking good, if they start finding their form and they start playing consistent, they could go 6-1 here. Do I think they will? Probably not. I think they'll probably go 4-3 or 5-2. But the schedule's a lot easier. That's for sure. So unless some of these teams make some changes and it makes them that much better, I think the Thieves are set for a pretty good schedule that, hopefully we can get into another winners bracket. Unfortunately, the problem is when you make winners bracket, that means you're probably going to play FaZe, Optic, Ultra, or New York. And none of them are easy teams to beat. So that's kind of the downside, but at least you have a second chance. So hopefully the Thieves will do enough to be able to make it to winners bracket. I think they should. They absolutely should finish in winners bracket based on what we see here and who they're facing up against. And there's a good amount of time from now to their first match against the Legion. So they should be able to get some good reps in. I don't think like the new maps are going to be introduced like right away. I think there's going to have to be some more testing with it still, but maybe the players see it otherwise. Maybe they're going to get some practice in really early and make a decision to put those into competitive. And maybe we'll start getting some new maps like, like you said, maybe the Thieves end up being good at both the new maps and now we have something other than Invasion to watch all the time. Hopefully that's the case cuz it's getting kind of repetitive watching Invasion all the time. But, you know, I can't do anything about it. I just got to watch. So, I'll enjoy it. When do I think Champ's location will be announced? I have no idea, man. I like the for some reason CDL is like super weird about all that. They just like don't announce anything, I feel like. And I wish I knew because I want to go to an event this year, but none of them are really like close to me. So it makes it really difficult to try and figure it all out. And then with my work schedule, it makes it really hard. But um, I'm hoping they do it at a reasonable time so that way I can try and get it figured out to see if I can go. I probably won't be able to because it's hard to get time off, and I really don't see them announcing it anytime soon. They're probably going to wait to announce it until it's like late in the season. But I thought they said it was I thought they had originally said it was supposed to be Dallas. I thought it was supposed to be in Texas. But I don't know. Maybe that stuff was just speculation. You're from England but went to the New York Major in Vanguard? Oh, nice. That's a that's a decent travel. I mean, at least you went to the East Coast. If you would have gone to the West Coast, that would have been a long flight. East Coast is not as bad. But that was I mean, if you're a Thieves fan, that was a good major to go to. You went to the right one. That's for sure. I didn't get to go to any Vanguard ones. I What was the most recent? The most recent one I went to was Modern Warfare 2 Champs in Vegas. That was the most recent one, which that one was really cool. It sucked though that the Thieves, didn't perform as well as everyone had hoped. But it's also cool to look back and say that I was able to be there and watch them at their last event together. So that was that was really cool too. And at the time, obviously, nobody knew that that was going to be the last time they played together. But um, I still wish I would have been able to like get Octane signature or something like that because I saw him walking around the venue, but was never really able to go up to him and ask about it. So I missed out on that. But either way, it was a super cool event. I mean, New York freaking slammed Ultra in the final. That was crazy. That was wild. But it was a really good event. It was super cool. Got family in New York, and it was good that the Thieves won. Yeah, I mean, obviously, very cool. You got to go see family, and then on top of that, you go to a event and the Thieves win. So definitely, I mean, you can't complain about that. That sounds like a good trip. Good trip to New York. Personally, I'm not a big New York fan, but I mean, if that were the situation, New York would be pretty lit. Yeah, going to the majors. I mean, especially if you're like an outgoing person, um, you could you could meet a lot of people that do a lot of different things. Like, there's a lot of Call of Duty fans who are making content or, you know, making their way into orgs and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people who do a lot of different things there. There's some people that just watch. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm hoping to go to more for work and doing this Thieves Talk stuff and, getting to cover the Thieves the best I can. But gotta kind of let this grow a little bit and then hopefully from there we can dive into that. But I think that's going to be it from my side of things. I feel like we kind of covered all the bases that I wanted to cover. We got to talk about both the series. We will be talking about some more stuff in the next one. Obviously, we have a little while before we have to do another live. I am trying to get some videos done though that hopefully I will be able to release fairly soon. So if you do not follow the Thieves Talk YouTube channel, go ahead and check that out. I post all of these on there as well in case anybody wasn't here for the live and they want to watch it back, hear about, you know, everything that we talked about. But there's going to be some more videos that are more specific to YouTube as well. Going to try and do some shorter videos and maybe do a couple other like podcasty type stuff on there down the line as well. But yeah, I would strongly suggest go checking that out. It'll help me out a lot as well. And if you don't follow the Thieves Talk Twitter. I try to post a bunch about the matches and updates and things like that, speculation, all that kind of stuff. And so if you're interested in that, please go and check it out. You know, that's something that I just started it with the Twitter account, so that's kind of the easiest thing for me to do. But we're getting close to 1,000 followers, which is mind blowing to me. We're almost at 900, so we're getting there, and hopefully we'll reach that goal sooner rather than later. But I appreciate everybody who checks all that stuff out, follows, engages with it, and then even comes and watches here. So I really appreciate that. Good stream. I always see your tweets, but didn't know your YouTube and Twitch stuff. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I mean, I'm probably not the best at like putting my YouTube and Twitch stuff out there, just because I don't have a set schedule for anything. I know that would make things a lot easier, but with work, it makes it really difficult. That's why I'm kind of just going live or posting kind of at random times. It makes it a little difficult, but I try to do what I can when I can, and that's why it's kind of up and down. So I do apologize for that, but I mean that's just kind of the nature of where I'm at right now. So I try to have at least somewhat of a schedule. I try to post, or I try to do the Twitch stuff after the events or after matches over the weekend. So typically I'll try to do it early in the week. And I try not to do it Sunday because I know that's when like Flank does their stuff, and then the breakdown is on Sunday. So I tend to try and do it on Monday or Tuesday, depending on what my work schedule looks like. And then I try to get the video posted onto YouTube by like the next day, pretty much. So that way, it's not sitting there waiting for a long time. But then, like I said, I'm going to try and get some more YouTube stuff. That stuff might take a little longer to be put out just because there will be more editing and stuff that's involved with all that. But we'll get it all done. We'll still get it uploaded and posted and all that stuff. So definitely be on the lookout for that stuff if that interests you. But yeah, that's going to do it for this weekend's episode of the Thieves Talk podcast. I'm excited for everything that's up next, and I appreciate everybody tuning in and following all of the Thieves Talk stuff, whether it be Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. It means a lot to me, so I really appreciate it. I am out. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.